The Nintendo Switch 2 is out now for everybody to buy. But you know what isn't? The next Smash Bros. So while we're letting Sakurai or maybe someone else at Nintendo cook for whoever knows how long, let's maybe imagine a different kind of Nintendo crossover title. I'm going to bravely ask the question that no one ever has dared ask before. What if Nintendo had a hero shooter? This is a series on my channel where I come up with their movesets and also draw their portraits. My goal here is to conceptualize 50 characters, and this will serve as the game's base roster. And after that, I think that this series ends. I don't know, maybe if there's still interest in this, we'll do more than that. But for now, 50 is the goal, and that's, the finish line. Here are my eligibility rules for my videos. Number 1. No third-party characters. I think that this is pretty self-explanatory. I think that, Nintendo has a diverse range of IP and it's very vast and a lot of them are very recognizable that I don't think we need to dip to third-party characters. Number 2. The franchise needs to be playable during the Switch or the Switch 2 era. And don't worry about this one because I'm counting NSO in this rule. So far, we've got 12 characters from all of my previous videos, and in this video, I will be introducing you to 6 more. And don't worry, if you haven't watched my previous videos, I'm gonna go through everybody we have real quick to catch you up to speed. First up, we've got Mario. Mario is fighter number 1. He is a close-range DPS brawler that jumps around to deal damage. Link is fighter number 5. He is a mixed-range DPS with a lot of utility. Pikachu is fighter number 8. He is a medium-range DPS with a lot of movement options. Donkey Kong is fighter number 11. He is a tank that delivers heavy blows. Kirby is fighter number 14. He is a support off-tank hybrid character. Samus is fighter number 17. She is an off-tank DPS hybrid. Lyn from Fire Emblem is fighter number 21. She is a DPS sniper. Tom Nook is fighter number 23. He is a support with a unique system revolving around bells. Inkling Captain is fighter number 25. She is a support character that can also be used offensively. Olimar is fighter number 28. He is a DPS character that deals damage by attaching Pikmin at opponents. Ayumi from Famicom Detective Club is fighter number 38. She is a support that provides damage boost and peel damage as a sniper. And lastly, Ring Fit Trainee is fighter number 39. She is a tank character. I've reworked some of these characters so they might be a little different from how you remember them, but yeah, I'll be going through them in the patch notes section of this video. Anyways, now that we've got the 12 out of the way, let's move on to our 6 new ones. Starting off with Fox McCloud from Star Fox. Fox is a DPS. Conceptually, this is supposed to be like a character that's easy to pick up and play. You aim, you shoot, you kill. So let's talk about his moveset. His primary fire is called Blaster. Fox fires strong projectile shots, 1 bullet at a time. So you can kind of think of this as like a sheriff almost, except instead of being hit scan, this is a projectile. The reason for that is because you can hold down primary fire to charge your shot, releasing an even bigger and stronger attack. This charged shot can go through multiple enemies. Moving on to his secondary fire, which is Grenade. Fox throws a grenade forward that deals explosive damage. So again, this is pretty standard. He throws a grenade forward and it does explosive damage, which means it can hit multiple people at once. Next up, his melee. His melee is called Jab. Fox kicks 3 times as his standard melee attack. This one's directly lifted off of his Smash Bros. Neutral attack, and as much as possible, I try not to base a character off of what they do in Smash. But in the case of Fox, I think that even though a lot of these moves are made up, I would say they are still based on things from Star Fox, and I did the same approach with this one. For example, his next ability, which is Reflector. Fox deflects incoming projectiles for 1.5 seconds. This one, just like in Smash, is based off of the barrel roll, where it deflects projectiles incoming to the ship. His ability, too, is called Fox Illusion. Fox blinks towards his input direction, leaving behind a trail of light. So yeah, this one's just a movement ability. It doesn't do any damage if you hit an enemy. This is just a way for Fox to reposition himself if necessary. Finally, we've got his ult, which is called R-Wing Assault. Fox enters the R-Wing and shoots down enemies from the skies. So yeah, I think this is just a fun little thing, you know, for his ultimate. He's gonna get into the R-Wing and you're gonna play the game as if you are playing Star Fox. And you have infinite ammo, you can shoot on people, and there's a bit of like aim assist where there's like a square thing with your reticle and it will shoot. But yeah, I just think that this one's really fun to imagine playing as. Lastly, his passive ability is called Sprint. Fox sprints by default, making him faster than a lot of characters. Pretty self-explanatory, so yeah. I polled you guys a month ago and asked you to choose from 3 poses and pose 1 won. So basically I based his outfit off of his appearance in Starlink Battle for Atlas, which is based off of his appearance in Star Fox Zero. I originally worked on Fox's artwork on livestream. Sometimes I do live streams here on YouTube, so if you're interested in seeing me work on these live, then, you know, stick around on my channel, turn on my bells and stuff like that. For the fur, I rendered this the same way I did Donkey Kong previously, which is this really rendered thing, really fluffy, so I like how that one turned out. And I actually posted this early on Blue Sky, and it seems to have been picked up a bunch by the furry community. So yeah, I'm really glad that people seem to like my interpretation of Fox. Fox here looks cool and he looks cunning, and that's exactly what his character needs to be. Okay, that was our first DPS. Let's move on to our next character from a different class. We've got Palutena from Kid Icarus. Palutena is a tank character. I think this one's pretty obvious, you know, she has a giant shield in her character design, so it was pretty obvious for me on what to classify her as. Let's talk about her moveset. First off, we've got her primary fire, which is called Light Beam. Palutena shoots hit-scan light beams from her staff like bullets. So yeah, this is pretty straightforward. I decided to make her attack hit-scan because, you know, she is manipulating light, and light is the fastest thing we know in the universe. As far as I know, right? You know, light speed and all that. This one's gonna shoot in bursts of 3, like choo. So yeah. Next up, we've got her secondary fire, which is called Reflect Barrier. Palutena casts a barrier that reflects all incoming damage. For physical attacks, attacking this hurts them back as well. This can be used repeatedly as long as the meter is filled. Lasts 3 seconds max. Palutena can't hold her shield forever, because there's a meter that depletes whenever you use it, but it will recharge, you know, when you're not using it. Let's move on to her abilities. Her first ability is called Petrify. Palutena casts a spell that temporarily turns a player into stone. This is a very versatile move. You can hit an opponent with it, you can hit an ally with it, or you can hit yourself with it. Basically, this is like a stun. If you get hit by it, you will turn into stone and you won't be able to do anything. Let's say like 1 or 2 seconds. But in this state, you are invulnerable. So if there's a massive ult that is going to attack your ally, you can petrify them and they will be saved. At the same time, this is good for defending. If someone is diving you, then you can petrify them, and, you know, while you can't hurt them, you can also get away during this period. Next up, we've got her ability 2, which is Godwing. Palutena gives herself wings and can fly at any direction for 2 seconds. So yeah, this one's pretty straightforward. And this is a movement ability, and she can move to higher places or, you know, escape enemies this way. If you press the crouch button as Palutena, she will do Mirror Shield. Palutena crouches and holds her shield forward, resisting 20% of incoming damage. So yeah, this is just basically me throwing her a bone and giving her some more tank abilities, because, you know, she doesn't have her barrier up a lot. Finally, her ult. This one is called Sacred Goddess Clobber Laser. Palutena fires a massive laser from the skies that damages opponents incrementally within it. So it's not as lethal as maybe you would think a DPS ult, but it will definitely discourage you from staying on that area. So it's good for space control, you know, maybe you're defending a point or a payload or something like that. Her passive ability is called Eye of Palutena. Palutena can see enemies through walls briefly after they leave her vision. So this one is directly lifted off of the Punisher from Marvel Rivals, where he has the same ability. And you can think of this as like a bit of wall hack for a little bit. It only lasts 2 seconds. So, you know, there's a wall here, and then an enemy walks behind it. You can still track them for 2 seconds after that. And I think it makes sense for Palutena because, you know, she's a goddess and she's supposed to be like omnipresent, and this is my way of representing that. Alright, we've got Palutena. Pose 1 is the winner here. Just like Fox, I worked on this artwork on live stream. I had a lot of trouble with how her face looks like because I just feel like she looks kind of uncanny. I've had the same problem before when I was drawing her artwork for my Hades render breakdown video. But, you know, I've managed to figure it out by basing my design off of her appearance in the anime instead, you know, the Kid Icarus cutscenes, instead of like her official artwork from Kid Icarus. I really had a hard time working on Palutena because she has a lot of like trinkets and ornaments and like these little gold pieces. But, you know, I think it turned out really well and I'm really happy with the final result. Alright, moving on to our next character. I see a lot of people excited when I did the sketches for this one, and I'm happy that not a lot of people pointed it out. You might think you know who this character is, but maybe you're wrong. They look very similar, but actually, this one is Ninten. Ninten is a support character. Okay, so why Ninten instead of Ness? I just think that, you know, Ninten deserves his flowers as well. You know, he is the first protagonist of the Mother franchise. I think we need to put more respect in his name. And even though people call him a Ness clone, actually Ness is a Ninten clone because this game came out before Mother 2, or Earthbound as the West knows it. So yeah, surprise, let's talk about his moveset. Ninten's primary fire is called Boomerang. Ninten throws his boomerang to deal damage. So yeah, this is pretty straightforward. Ninten throws his boomerang, but he needs to wait for the boomerang to come back to him before he can attack again. Next up, we've got his secondary fire, which is PSI Healing. Ninten casts healing at his feet, cleansing allies in his vicinity from status effects. Also heals a bit of HP. So yeah, if your ally is stunned, or knocked down, or sleeping, or flash burned, or freezing, then you can clear this status effect from them by using this ability. And it also heals a bit of HP, let's say like 50 to 75 HP. And yeah, alright, moving on to his melee attack, which is T-Ball Bat. Ninten swings his bat. This is a standard melee attack. So let's move on to the next one, which is called Teleport. Ninten teleports towards his targeted ally. So yeah, if you press the interact button while looking at the direction of your ally, then you will teleport onto them. This serves as Ninten's movement ability, so he can be skittish if he wants to. His ability 1 is called PSI Shield. Ninten shields an ally or himself from all incoming damage, has 2 charges. So you can kind of think of this as a Zarya bubble, or a Hulk bubble, or a Magneto bubble from all these other games. But yeah, instead of bubbles, it will come in the form of like these hexagons, like in the Mother games. Okay, his next ability is kind of wacky, but this one is called 4th Dimension Slip. Ninten summons a portal that tears through space-time. This allows Ninten and his teammates to cross great distances faster. Has a very long cooldown. So yeah, this is basically Doctor Strange from Marvel Rivals, where he does the portal ability, and I think it makes sense for Ninten to have this one. It doesn't necessarily have to be like exactly like Doctor Strange, where you can see through the portal, like in the Portal games. This could be more like, you know, Symmetra from Overwatch, where the portal isn't see-through and you interact to get inside it. I do think it would be more fun to have the Doctor Strange portal thing in this one, but if our theoretical Nintendo Switch 2 couldn't handle this, then I'm fine with having it just be like Symmetra. Finally, his ult is called Super Healing Omega. Ninten revives fallen allies within his vicinity. This is very straightforward. This is just a way for Ninten to revive fallen allies shortly after they died. Ninten's passive ability is called Telepathy. Ninten provides speed boost within his radius. It's pretty simple. You know, I base this ability off of the visual in the Mother games and everybody follows you around. I think it's really cute. And so this is my way of representing that in here. A lot of people seem to think that I was doing Ness, which is fair because they look very similar, but Ninten has his hat on the right, Ness has his hat on the left side. And so, you know, like a couple of people picked up on it, but not a lot. And yeah, for his design, I decided to stick with the official art, which is his clay model, and it's a direct one-to-one copy of it. I see that a lot of fan interpretation for Ninten has him in a different outfit, like this blue, white, and red striped shirt with a red scarf. But I just personally don't like that design because it's not really canon. I mean, yes, it's based on some form of canonicity in the form of the ad, but in any other depiction of Ninten, he just looks like this. So I stuck to the official design. It's not Ninten's fault that Ness stole his getup, so if anyone's supposed to make adjustments, I personally think it should have been Ness. But I digress. I hope you like the way I interpreted him here as well as in the moveset. Next up, we've got a character that everybody knows. I'm sure you know this one. Maybe your grandma even knows this one if you owned a Wii back in the day. This one is me. And I don't mean myself, I mean MII. Mii's are, of course, you know, Nintendo staple characters, and so I'm obviously going to represent them here in this hero shooter. So, let's talk about his moveset. Mii's primary fire is called Tennis Swing. Mii swings his tennis racket to deal damage at close range. If timed correctly, he can deflect small projectiles. I'm going to define small projectiles as like your standard bullets, like let's say Fox's blaster shot. You can deflect that one, but if it's a big projectile, like let's say an ult, then you won't be able to deflect that. There's a very specific reason I'm giving him deflect on his primary fire, and I think it's really funny. Because if you hold down his primary fire, he will do tennis smash. Hold down to serve powerful tennis balls at opponents. So yeah, if you hold down primary fire, he will lob the tennis ball and serve it at his opponents. And if you're fighting another Mii, then the Mii can deflect that ball and throw it back at you, and then you can deflect that ball once again and throw it back at them. So you can kind of play Wii tennis within this. I think it will be really funny, even though it's like a gimmick, but yeah. Maybe it could even be a game mode, like every character that can deflect can do Wii Sports. I don't know. Moving on to a secondary fire, which is Bowling Strike. Mii bowls a bowling ball towards his facing direction. This is a mid-range attack that deals great damage. Another thing to note about this attack is that it has a downwards trajectory because, you know, bowling balls are very heavy, so you won't be able to throw this very far. Moving on to his melee attack, which is called Boxing. Mii dons boxing gloves as his standard melee attack. This one's pretty straightforward, you know, the Mii just punches things if you press the melee attack. We've got his first ability, which is called Food. Mii eats a random food item which recovers his HP. This is pretty, you know, straightforward. This is just a way for Mii to have some sort of like self-sustain. So yeah. His second ability is called Flyover. Mii hops onto a plane and deals damage in its path. So yeah, this one doubles as his movement ability, and it's based off of the Wii Sports Resort Island Flyover minigame. If you hold down the jump button as the Mii, he will do Cursor Grab. Hold down the jump button to lift Mii off the ground. He can move in any direction, but can't use any attacks or abilities while grabbed. So if you ever played the Mii Plaza on the Wii or the Wii U or the 3DS, and you pick up your Mii, and they will do this thing where it's like, stop picking me up. This is basically it. Technically, Mii can fly around the map if he wants to. It's not a very fast ability, it's just as fast as him walking. But while he's in this state, he can't use any other abilities, and he can't even like use his primary fire. Finally, we've got his ultimate, which is called Huge Fight. Mii throws a bunch of items forward and deals massive damage in front of him. So this one's based on Tomodachi Life, you know, when two of your Miis fight each other and they start throwing items around. If you are standing in front of the Mii while Mii uses his ultimate, then you will die pretty much instantly because this will deal a lot of damage. His passive ability is called Street Pass. Mii gains temporary armor health in the presence of allies. So yeah, this one's pretty simple. If you have an ally next to you, then you will gain some temporary armor health, but as soon as you walk away from them, then that armor health will go away. I didn't pull you guys on this one because I wanted to keep this character a secret and surprise you a little bit, but yeah, I decided on the post pretty easily. This is based on like when you pick up a Mii in the Mii Plaza or in Tomodachi Life, this is exactly what it looks like. And yeah, you know, I just went with the default Mii look from when you start to make your own Mii, and this is what it looks like if it's male. Of course, the idea here is that you would be able to replace what the Mii looks like if you're ever to play this game. Not really much to say here, but I really like the art I made for this one, and I like the motion blur lines that I added, so yeah. Alright, let's move on to our next tank character. So I polled you guys months ago which character you'd want to make it in from ARMS, and Twintel was the winner by a landslide. I think that a lot of her abilities in ARMS translate really well as a tank character in a Nintendo hero shooter, and yeah, this is pretty much one-to-one almost. Let's talk about her moveset then. Her primary fire is called Chilla. Twintel extends her right hair pigtail to deal damage. This is a very standard melee attack, but you know, she can do a melee attack from very far away. You can hold down primary fire to charge your punch, which turns into charged Chilla. Hold down to charge this attack. Connecting a max charge punch inflicts freezing, slowing down enemies. So yeah, like I said, it's going to deal more damage, and it's also going to give them a bit of slowness. Moving on to her secondary fire, which is called Parasol. Twintel extends her left pigtail to block incoming attacks. This pushes back enemies as well. So yeah, her left pigtail is like an umbrella that spins around, so it's kind of like a mini little shield, and it also serves as a way to push back enemies. If you press crouch as Twintel, then she does a block. Twintel holds her pigtails in front of her, resisting 20% of incoming damage. So yeah, this works exactly the same way as Palutena, where they can resist 20% of incoming damage. Her ability 1 is called Celebrity Aura. When pressed, Twintel slows down enemies and projectiles within her immediate surroundings. So yeah, this is a nifty way for her to avoid divers, or maybe if there's an incoming projectile, then this gives her a bit of time to move out of the way. Her ability 2 is called Grab Pull. Twintel grabs onto an opponent or an ally and has the option of either pulling them towards her or pulling herself towards them. So maybe an ally is falling off a cliff, you can save them using this ability, or maybe you're falling off the cliff, then you can save yourself with this one. It's a very versatile move, and yeah, I think that there will be a lot of interesting plays with this one. Finally, we've got her ultimate, which is called Parasol Flurry. Twintel unleashes her flurry. Both of her pigtails are now parasols extended forwards, which blocks all incoming damage and does damage on contact. This is basically a spinning shield. All of the projectiles that come into contact with this will be nullified, and she can use this kind of like a saw to hit people with it, and it will deal a lot of damage. Her passive ability is called Silver Screen Queen. Twintel recharges armor health if not hit for 5 seconds. So yeah, this one's pretty straightforward. She has innate armor health to begin with, so yeah. I pulled you guys on this one, and one of the poses won by a landslide, and I can't say that I'm surprised before you throw some allegations at me. This is basically her official artwork pose. I just rotated the camera in a different angle. The hardest thing for me about this artwork is her hair. I kind of struggled with how I would imagine this would be drawn in the art style, but I don't know, I think I pulled through. What do you think about this one? I do think that her being an attractive character is intentional on Nintendo's part. Plus, in general, I do think that her character design is great. As per tradition on this series, our final character is always going to be a little bit more obscure than the others. So think about the rules that I set up for you earlier in this video. There's some tricky wording that I used that makes her eligible for this one. She is definitely a character from the Switch era, even though she's technically not playable on the Switch. What do I mean by this? Well, to give you another hint, this is a Nintendo rep that isn't from a Nintendo console. That's right, she is a mobile rep. Do you know who she is yet? Well, her name is Zethia from Dragalia Lost. I think that Dragalia Lost is a very interesting IP because despite how new it is, you know, it debuted in 2018, this is a game that you can't play anymore because it's been pulled from service on mobile. So I hope the series gets a second chance, maybe like a new entry but on the Switch this time, so that you can't just put it offline and nobody could play it forever. But yeah, I just think it's very interesting, and I think it makes sense to have a mobile rep for Nintendo. This is 100% a Nintendo IP. Zethia is a support character. I based her moveset off of two things. One is Bond Forged Zethia and Gala Zethia. Her primary fire is called the Light Staff. Zethia shoots light beams from her staff, healing allies and damaging enemies. I don't think I need to talk about this much because a lot of other characters do this as well. So let's move on to her secondary fire, which is called Blazing Fount. Zethia casts a pillar of light that inflicts Flashburn. Flashburn is a status effect that deals damage over time. You can think of this as like burn or poison. Moving on to her abilities. Her ability 1 is called Power of Bonds. Zethia casts an area of effect around her that spreads incoming damage across all of her allies within the radius. So yeah, this basically spreads the damage out to you and your allies within your radius so that it doesn't hurt as much and it's not as lethal. It's kind of like a double-edged sword. Like, it feels like there's less damage going to you, but it will also go towards all of your teammates. So her ability 2 is called Genesis Circlet. Zethia does a spin attack with her blade, rendering her invulnerable for 1 second. She can reposition herself while doing this one, so yeah. You can think of this as kind of like Cloak and Dagger from Marvel Rivals, except it only affects yourself and not your teammates. Finally, her ultimate is called Genesis Packbearer. Zethia summons Bahamut and follows her around, dealing damage to the nearest enemy within its radius. So yeah, Dragalia Lost is all about dragons and summoning them and stuff like that. And this is exactly the case for Gala Zethia, so I made that one her ultimate here. And if you use Power of Bonds while Bahamut is around, then it also spreads the damage to him. So, you know, there's a bigger health pool for the damage to go to instead of just yourself. Her passive ability is called Bond Forge Auspex. If Zethia's health drops below 20%, she restores temporary HP by 50%. So basically, if she's critical, her health will spike back up to 50%, and this ability, of course, is on cooldown. If she doesn't heal herself properly and she only has temporary health left, then eventually this temporary health will deplete and go away and she might die because of it. Okay, we've got Zethia. Obviously, I didn't pull you guys on this one because this one was meant to be a real surprise, but yeah, I based her outfit off of her default look in Dragalia Lost. I'm not very familiar with the IP, so if you are a Dragalia Lost fan, let me know what you think about the moveset I made, and let me know what you think about this artwork. I really like her aesthetic. I don't know what it's called, but it reminds me of like playing cards a little bit, like the Joker card specifically, you know, with the pointy thing and the circle at the end. I don't know what you call that, like, aesthetic, but it's cool. I think it's cool. And this is how it turned out. Alright, that's our 6 characters, so let's move on to the patch notes, because... Wait, what? Another fighter. Whoa, it's... Pichu! Okay, before you get mad at this pick, Pichu does not take his own slot at this roster, because Pichu is our very first Echo Fighter. Pichu is billed as fighter number 8 alongside Pikachu. Let's define what an Echo Fighter is in terms of this Nintendo hero shooter. Basically, this is a character that shares the same core movesets with another character, in this case, Pikachu. You can think of this as an alternative take on the same core concept. Because they're treated as the same fighter, this means that you can't have both Pikachu and Pichu on the same team. People were complaining about, you know, support Pikachu, and this is my way of giving in, but also having my cake and eating it as well. So let's talk about Pikachu's moveset as a DPS. His primary fire is now called Thunderbolt. Pikachu tethers his electricity onto enemies, dealing great damage. This is kind of like the Scarlet Witch from Marvel Rivals, or Moira from Overwatch, or Symmetra's old primary fire. And yeah, secondary fire is the same as before, which is Thunder Wave. Pikachu casts electricity that stuns opponents with paralysis. Pikachu still has Wall Climb. Pikachu can run along walls for 2 seconds, but he no longer has the Partner Pokemon ability, which is like going on the shoulders of your allies. His ability 1 is called Discharge. Pikachu explodes with a burst of electricity, dealing great damage to enemies within his vicinity. Pretty straightforward, this one's the same as before, except this time it doesn't heal his allies. His ability 2 is called Volt Tackle. Pikachu charges forwards, dealing damage to enemies making contact, and it has 2 charges. And as before, his ultimate remains 10 million volt Thunderbolt. Pikachu unleashes a massive torrent of electricity that tethers onto enemies within his wide radius, dealing massive damage. His passive is called Static. Pikachu's electricity temporarily reduces the healing an enemy receives. So yeah, it's pretty much the same as his original moveset that I made for him, except this time it's more geared towards being a DPS. Meanwhile, Pichu inherits the old version of Pikachu's moveset, which is a support moveset. For Pichu's pose, I actually recycled one of the results from my old Pikachu poll, and this pose is actually the second winner of that poll, and so I just applied it to Pichu. And I think it really worked out well. I think that the way I drew Pichu here is really cute, and yeah, I don't know. Not really much to say about this one. Moving on to some other patch notes. I've tweaked Link's moveset once again. More notably, his ult is now called Champion Spirit. Link does a powerful spin attack with extended range and duration, dealing massive damage to the area around him. Kirby is reclassed to support. He maintains most of the same moveset, except now his primary fire also heals allies as well. I've tweaked Olimar's moveset to have most, if not all, of the Pikmin represented in his moveset. Finally, here are all of their fighter numbers. I post all of these artworks as well as the movesets over on Blue Sky, so if you want to save them, make them your wallpaper, or maybe make them your profile picture, then feel free to. Just head on over to my Blue Sky and save them from there. But maybe you want higher quality versions of my art. Maybe you want the transparent versions. Maybe you want to see like layer by layer how I drew these artworks. Then you can head over to my Patreon because I have these project files, the files that I drew on Clip Studio Paint on, available there to download. The lowest tier on my Patreon is $2 if you want to have early access to my stuff and be part of the credits, just like these wonderful names above my head. Thank you so much to these wonderful people. And yeah, a lot of them have stayed with me for months, so I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Alternatively, you can be a YouTube member, which gives you the same perks over on Patreon, except this time here on YouTube. I also do commissions over on VGen, so if you like my art and you like the style that I drew these characters in, then head on over to VGen, which is linked down below, and I will draw stuff for you. I really need to build my PC. I'm still running a GTX 1070 because upgrading is so expensive, but I'm going to build a new PC from the ground up. I already have my parts picked out, and it's going to cost about like $1,000. So yeah, help me get to this goal faster. Other than that, if you want to support me without, spending any money, then please, if you like this video, leave a like on this video, subscribe if you haven't already. But if you don't like my ideas and you think you could do better, or maybe you don't like my art, then leave a thumbs down and comment down below what things that could be improved on, and maybe we could start a conversation and I could add your suggestions to the patch notes, which is what I do for the patch notes really. And yeah, lastly, thank you so much for 50,000 subs. I'm trying to rush this outro because YouTube doesn't like long outros. I will do a proper thank you video in the future, but for now, this is it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Ciao.